Most people have heard that Moses went to the top of Mount Sinai, but he didn't really. If you look at the Bible, he actually went to Mount Horeb, which is in the Sinai Peninsula. Now, Mount Horeb is a fascinating place. When Moses went to the top of the mountain, Yahweh came down and took him up to heaven. And Moses was supposedly on top of this mountain, or in heaven, or wherever the hell he was, for 40 days and 40 nights. And whilst he was there, God purportedly gave him the tablets with the 10 Commandments on them. Now, the people who were looking at the mountain and waiting for Moses to come back down reported seeing that the mountain was covered in smoke most of the time. It said it burnt like a furnace and rang like a gong. And when Moses came back down after meeting with God, everyone was scared of him because his face was glowing mysteriously. So much so that whenever he would talk to Yahweh and come back to his people, he had to wear a veil because everyone was scared of him. But is there evidence for these events atop Mount Horeb really happening? Well, yes, actually there is. The great Egyptologist and surveyor William Flinders Petrie, who I'll be talking about in yet another episode, he was the first guy to notice in Egypt the evidence of advanced machining, but that's definitely a story for another day. In the early part of the 20th century, though, William Flinders Petrie heard that in the Sinai Peninsula, up on top of Mount Horeb, there was a temple to the Egyptian goddess Hathor. That's the cow goddess. There's two aspects to her. One's very wrathful and dangerous. Now, this was the largest temple outside of Egypt. So Petrie got a grant from the Egyptological Foundation. Unfortunately, he couldn't report his findings to the world for some years afterwards because they wouldn't let him release any information that didn't back up the Christian story. And as you know, a lot of the Bible stories are old retellings of much, much older tales. Anyway, what did Petrie find up there on top of Mount Horeb? Did he find the temple? Yeah, he did. There was a 246-foot long temple to Hathor, to be precise, right on top. As you can see from these images taken from his book, there's the cow goddess right there. While digging in his 4 months of excavation there, William Flinders Petrie found something incredible. There was a first temple underneath the second temple, and underneath that was a layer of white wood ash, as he described it. And it was 200 feet long by 50 feet in width and 18 inches deep, and he estimated it to be at least 50 tons of white ash. Now, Mount Horeb is very windy up top of the mountain, so wind would have blown a lot of it away before the first temple was built on top of it. So how much was there originally? Because now we can see the remnants of what the Israelites actually saw whilst Moses was up on top of Mount Horeb. So William Flinders Petrie actually found evidence for the truth of these stories from the Bible, or the older tales still. And Hathor, funnily enough, in a previous Babylonian incarnation, was a known associate of Yahweh. And we can see all these things starting to tie together, can't we? Find the answers on Misteria.